If you've been here for a little while, or if you're looking at old closet videos, you've seen what this space is. And I have my coats in here, as well as my ponchos and wraps and those kinds of things. I have them somewhat by category. I try to keep the leather together. And on this end, there is longer hang space. So I have the longer hang on this side. So these are going back to their original location. And we're about to convert this for my handbags. And this is where I store my fedoras. And on this side, on this door, is scarves. They're all on a scarf hanger. And I found that this is a very convenient way to just see what's here. So for the time being, this will be where they live. So we'll see how that goes. So this is a pretty major restructuring because I also have a small chest in here that houses my gloves. So we're going to see how that configures into what I'm doing. One thing I encouraged in one of my prior videos with regard to getting the closet set up, I suggested that when you're making these changes that you lay out what you want to do before you start to kind of plan where things are going to go. It's just draw it out so that you can by wall lay out the shelving and the units that you're going to have on the wall and get a real visual for how it's going to appear before you start making purchases. And then when you go to make purchases, you know what you're making purchases for. I do also advise that when you start to measure so that you know for sure when you go to buy your materials that you have exact measurements. The materials that I'm using came from Home Depot. That's where I got everything else. And this is an easy DIY. So because this is not a part of my day-to-day, this can go somewhere else. So I can better utilize this space. And I think I'll feel better about what this part of the closet does in terms of how it functions. These are the two standard shelves. They are not going to be moved. In the event we need to convert this back to its original use, this one upper and this one lower, these are going to remain. I did extend this side to make it come all the way to the wall, and I am adding additional shelves here in between. So in determining the height of the next shelf, this is my largest height bag. This handle does not collapse. So because of the height on this one, I am determining what the height of the next shelf is going to be based on this bag. So there are some that are going to come close on height, but for the height here, and I want this on the bottom, primarily because we're going with the darker colors on the bottom. That's why I'm putting this one here. So we're going to put our shelf here. And again, we'll measure going up for the level of the next shelf. To attach the shelf to the wall, I use these little brackets. The back of the shelf goes in here, and this other part here goes into the wall. The more you use, the more stable the shelving will be. I think I'm going to use 4 because there's not a lot of weight with the bags. So with clothing, I have several of these on those walls. So I just drilled my holes, and this goes into the wall and secured with a pin that just goes into the wall like so. So this is what holds the back of the shelf. So this part hooks into here. And I have 4 of those along the wall. If you can see this arm, this is what these are. So I'm using 2. Again, the weight is not a lot for handbags. So I'm using 2 on the ends. And they're by Closet Maid. Again, from Home Depot. So these are going to go up next to hold up my shelf. Little arm. And this goes into the wall. Again, it has the pin. And it is going to, this part is going to support the shelf. And this part is going to go into the wall with this pin. Where I use my level to make sure the shelf is level. And if you haven't used one of these before, you can see the little bubble there. And the bubble tells you when the shelf is level based on where it falls between these lines. So all of the shelves are in, and I don't want my bags sitting directly on the wire. So here's where I fall back to foam board. I've mentioned it several times for several projects. I usually have foam board on hand for a variety of reasons. Easiest thing I found to do with regard to measuring, to just push it all the way to the back and to the corner. I'm going to get my yardstick and push it to the wall and just measure out to where it lines up with the front of the shelf, and that it is even on this side. And I just take a pen and just straight line it. And that's going to give me the portion that I need to cut off. For me, that's the easiest thing to do. However it works to get your piece cut, and then I'll just cut multiple pieces of this size, but I also have to cut multiple pieces of the larger size. Remember, this is a 16, this is a 16, and the original shelving, those two are 12s. So we have to allow for that. And for the size that this comes in, putting 2 of these together is a little bit shy covering the whole shelf. So just to give you an idea, this is what I'm missing here in the middle. So if I put these 2 together, then I'm gonna cut a piece for the side so that it doesn't show right there. So because I have my line, I can cut both of these at the same time. Ta-da! The hard part is done, and the more tedious part, should I say. So on my next video will be part 2, where I get my bags in and get those situated. I've put in a few just to kind of see how it's going to shape up, but my next video will show you the final. Just to recap, with regard to the hardware, the important thing is to remember to measure multiple times to make sure you've got the length correct. Also, with regard to the depth of the shelving, this comes in a variety of sizes. What was original here in the closet was these two, the upper and the lower, because they were hang bars. I took the hang part out because I used it differently. And the two that were already here were 12 inches. The two I added were 16 inches, so I could get more bags depth-wise on the shelf. So keep that in mind. When you change the size of the shelf, you need to change the size of the bracket on the arm, on the support. The other part is to remember that your wall clips, however many you choose, I did 4, and I played off of the ones that were originally here for this one because it was supporting that shelf. I didn't want to put extra holes, so I used the holes that were already there and added to. Hope you followed that. And for these on the bottom, this shelf was originally different. You can see how that looks versus how the others look. That was because this, as an original shelf, was hang bar, and this one also was a hang bar, but it had the U-cup for the slider. I took that out a long time ago. So that's what we have. So stay tuned for the Wednesday video so that we will have this all finished and done, and to utilize this space differently. So my coats now have a new home, and we'll be parting with some of those later in the year. Got to figure that out in terms of what I'm keeping. So we'll go from there. But I hope you enjoyed this portion of the video. And for those of you that are reorganizing and rebuilding and adding on, I'm getting lots of feedback with regard to your new spaces. Hopefully this will help if you haven't started yet. And the other thing to remember with regard to the foam board is that this will be cut, that you can cut this in any size that you want. Just make sure you have enough of it. And if you've got any left over, you can find a project to use it with. It is great to support the bottom of your handbags from the inside. Gives you a little more stability. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, like, and share the video. I always appreciate that. And for those of you that shop the live sale, I'll be right here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my next sale. Looking forward to seeing you there. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.